Subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon and never miss an update from Latestly.
It's nice of you to have picked up that one incident, which is absolutely condemnable. Every one of us say that. Equally, there are instances happening elsewhere, is my concern. India has issues of such nature happening in very many different parts of the country. Equally, I would like you and many others, inclusive of Dr. Amartya Sen, who all know India, to raise it at every time when it happens. Not just raise it when it suits us, because it's a state where BJP is in power, one of my cabinet colleagues' son is in probably trouble, and also assume that it's actually them who did it and not anybody else. Due course of justice will also have a complete inquiry process to establish it. And it's not being defensive about my party or my prime minister, it's being defensive about India. I will talk for India. I will talk for justice for the poor. I will not be mocked at. And if it is mocking, I will be defensive to stand up and say, sorry, let's talk on facts. The three acts which the government brought in, where each of them discussed by the various parliamentary committees over a decade. Some newer aspects may have been added, some tweaked finer. All the three acts have been discussed variously by the state governments, by the center after 2014, after BJP came into power. But this has been in the making for now a decade. Every stakeholder has been consulted. When the farm laws were brought in the Lok Sabha, there was an elaborate discussion and the agriculture minister gave his reply as well. And in the Lok Sabha, our numbers may be big, but all parties are present in the Lok Sabha in varying numbers. It was only when it came to the Rajya Sabha, there was a lot of noise and disturbance. Okay, the acts were passed. The protests are happening. Protesters belonging to one or one and a half, in a sense, one state or some parts of another state, Punjab and Haryana, and some parts of Western Uttar Pradesh. Government has been saying that we are willing to talk with the protesters, has been engaging with them. And one point for all of you all here, we asked pointedly, what is that one aspect in any one of the three laws which have been passed to which you object? We are willing to talk about it. Tell us that one particular aspect in any one of the three laws. Till date, we have not had even one particular aspect which is being questioned. And therefore, the protesters are not sure on what score they are protesting. What is it that they're objecting? Then there's this issue about minimum support price to be given to farmers. The highest ever minimum support price, each crop, Kharif, Rabi, the two seasonal crops that are produced in India, agriculture season of Kharif, agriculture season of Rabi. Well in time, the MSPs are announced not for one wheat or not one rice. Wheat, rice, which is wheat, paddy, and probably another 12 different crops. Minimum support price is well in advance announced. Farmers could decide whether they want to grow that crop or not. They can otherwise choose to grow something else. And once they choose to grow any of these for which a minimum support price is announced and procurement is done, through direct benefit transfer using technology, money is deposited as a lump sum into their accounts. And the highest amount of procurement, the largest ever payment per farmer under the minimum support price which is declared has happened in the last 7 years after Prime Minister Modi has come. Highest ever. The number of farmers, the total quantum of money, total quantum of grain procured, in each one of them, the highest has happened season after season in the last 7 years. There are recorded conversations which you can see of farmers even from Punjab, even from Haryana saying, I've got the entire amount into my account, and this is verifiable. It's not a claim which I'm making. You can go and check it out. Highest amount, and the entire amount is given into the account directly the day after procurement is done. No staggering, no delaying of payments. So we have not been told what is it that they are protesting against as yet. And the minister is willing to talk even today. It's one thing to have a view and totally another to base it on facts. If opinions become my prejudice, there's no way in which I can counter it. I'm sure all of us are familiar with the fact that sometimes it is an effort similar to waking up somebody who's pretending to sleep. If you're genuinely sleeping, I can tap on your shoulder and say, please wake up. But if you're pretending to sleep, will you wake up? You can't, you won't. And I'll be fooling myself thinking I'm waking you up. There are scholars. I respect Dr. Amartya Sen, who you mentioned. I would think for every one of his view, he'd go to India, move freely around, and find out what's happening. That itself would help us to know, particularly a scholar is talking based on facts. In India, law and order is a subject which is each province for its own. So if you were to look at the United States, and if there is one particular state, I don't know, Texas, for instance, if it has a problem, It may not be a problem which the President of the United States will have to deal with, it will be the governor of that state. That is the case even in India. There are provinces which are ruled by not the party to which the Prime Minister belongs. Even last night, not even the day before yesterday night, even last night, in a state which is ruled by, in a state meaning in a province which is ruled by not the party to which Prime Minister belongs, crimes have taken place, poorest of the poor have been hit, some dead, but even that will be at the doorstep of the Prime Minister because that suits my narrative. It is not right. Because in that state, in that province, law and order is governed by the elected chief minister of that region, who's not even a party man for Prime Minister Modi. I remember in 2014, as soon as the Prime Minister came to power, there were a series of attacks on churches, places of Christian worship. And there again, there were voices. People returned their awards, the Padma awards that we give in the country, highest civilian awards, or saying, this government is against minorities. Look at the way Christians are being treated. Churches are being attacked. Every state in which this happened had their own investigation. The committees, the police, and everybody belonged to their respective states. The Prime Minister had nothing to do with it. You would be surprised to know that every one of these attacks, after proper investigation, proved out to be nothing to do with the Prime Minister, nothing to do with the BJP, nothing to do with any communal angle. But the blame was put at the Prime Minister's door. Awards were returned saying, it's difficult for me to live in this country. Oh, my minorities are being offended. It turned out that none of them had anything to do with the communal angle, and none of them to do with the BJP or the Prime Minister. Similar is the way in which this time, after 2019, when Prime Minister Modi came back with even better, stronger mandate, this campaign which is going on to say that there are communal violence, communal whatever, minorities are in difficulty. Again, a question of law and order being a state subject. Each state has its own. In states where parties who care nothing for the BJP, there's been atrocious violence. Is that also something to be answered by the Prime Minister? And let me come down to a very personal and sort of, you may think it's petty, but I will quote this. Tell me the number of people who have criticized Prime Minister Modi in such derogatory words, calling him names, abusing him. Has any one of them been touched? Have they been questioned?